Welcome to Unit 1 of Human Resource Management. In this session, we will explore two fundamental concepts: human resources, commonly known as HR, and human resource management, or HRM. We will also examine how the management of people has evolved over time, from simple apprenticeship systems to modern strategic business partnering. Understanding these concepts provides the foundation for everything we will study in this chapter. Let us begin with the concept of human resources. Human resources refers to the collective wealth of knowledge, skills, creative abilities, experiences, talents, and values possessed by an organization's workforce. In this sense, it represents the total human potential available to an enterprise. While organizations may own buildings, machinery, technology, and financial resources, it is people who perform these resources into productive outcomes. Employees contribute ideas, innovation, expertise, and commitment, making human resources one of the most valuable assets of any organization. In today's business environment, human resources is often described using different terminologies. You may hear organizations refer to their workforce as human capital, intellectual capital, talent pool, people operations, workforce, staff, employees, personnel assets, or manpower. So although these names differ, they all emphasize the same important reality. People are a critical source of organizational success and competitive advantage. Closely related to human resources is human resource management. Human resource management is defined as a strategic, integrated, and coherent approach to the employment, development, motivation, and maintenance of an organization's people. HRM is not simply about hiring employees or maintaining personnel records. Rather, it focuses on ensuring that employees' capabilities and behaviors are aligned with the long-term strategic goals of an institution. In other words, human resource management seeks to maximize the value of human resources while helping the organizations achieve its missions and objectives. The concept of managing people is not new. In fact, the practice of managing human work has evolved dynamically over centuries. What began as simple supervision by master craftsmen has gradually transformed into a strategic partnership that contributes directly to organizational success. The earliest stage of this evolution can be traced to the pre-industrial era. Before industrialization, production was largely decentralized and home-based. During this period, medieval merchant and craft guilds established some of the earliest labor standards. These guilds regulated entry into trades through rigorous apprenticeship agreements that often lasted several years. They monitored the quality of work and provided basic safety protections for artisans and craftsmen. Although informal, these practices represented the first organized attempts to manage labor and develop skills. The next major revolution emerged during the Industrial Revolution of the late 18th and 19th centuries. The introduction of mechanized factories brought mass production and economic growth, but it also created serious social challenges. Workers often faced harsh working conditions, long working hours, labor exploitations, child labor, and a sense of alienation from their work. In response to these conditions, several influential thinkers introduced new ideas about managing employees. One of the most significant figures was Robert Owen, who is a Scottish textile manufacturer who is widely recognized as the father of personnel management. Personnel management is the previous name for human resource management. Robert Owen believed that workers should be treated as valuable assets rather than merely machines. He demonstrated that providing clean working conditions, shorter working hours, factory meals, and housing for workers could improve both employee well-being and organizational productivity. Another important contributor was Charles Babbage, who promoted operational efficiency through the specialized division of labor and performance-based bonus systems. His ideas helped organizations improve productivity while recognizing the importance of employee performance. During the early 20th century, human resource management continued to evolve through two influential movements. The first was scientific management, which is led by the father of scientific management, Frederick Winslow Taylor. Taylor focused on improving efficiency through time and motion studies and the scientific selection of workers for specific tasks. His goal was to identify the most efficient methods of performing work and to match employees with jobs and suited their abilities. The second movement was the human relations movement, which emerged from the famous Hawthorne studies conducted by Elton Mayo and Fritz Roethlisberger between 1924 and 1932. Their research revealed that productivity increased not only because of physical workplace conditions, such as lighting, but also because employees felt valued, recognized, and part of a social group. These findings shifted attention from purely technical efficiency to employees' moral, motivation, communication, and group dynamics. As organizations become larger and more complex, the field of human resource management continued to develop through several historical stages. During the welfare officer era from the 1890s to 1913, organizations focused on employee welfare, safety, medical care, housing, and educational support. The labor manager era from 1914 to 1939 emphasized recruitment, psychological testing, reducing turnover, and managing labor relations during the period of industrial expansion. Following the Second World War, the personnel management era from 1945 to 1979 saw the creation of personnel departments responsible for payroll administration, compliance with labor laws, collective bargaining, and disciplinary procedures. A major transformation occurred during the 1980s and 1990s with the emergence of the human resource management era. Organizations this time began to view employees not as costs to be controlled, but as strategic assets capable of creating value. Human resource became actively involved in organizational strategy and long-term planning. Today, we are in the era of human capital and HR business partnering. Modern human resource management professionals act as strategic partners who use big data analytics, digital technologies, and electronic human resource systems to build agile, people-centered organizations and drive sustainable performance. This historical journey highlights a remarkable shift in priorities. The focus has moved from care and welfare to labor relations, to administration and compliance, then to strategy and value creation, and finally to strategic partnership and digital innovation. Human resource management has evolved from a support function into a key driver of organizational success. In summary, human resource represents the collective knowledge, skills, talents, and experiences of an organization's workforce, while human resource management is the strategic process of managing and developing those resources to achieve organizational goals. Over time, human resource management has evolved from apprenticeship systems and factory supervision into modern strategic function that plays a central role in organizational performance and competitiveness. In the next session, we will examine the nature, principles, objectives, and importance of human resource management in greater detail. See you in the next sessions.